everybody. Welcome. Today we are here at Providence Canyon to do a virtual field trip. Now, Providence Canyon is one of Georgia's 7 wonders, and it is a great geological wonder. So just hang out with us for a little bit and come with us as we explore and learn a bit more about the canyon, its history, how it was formed, and what all cool things you can find here. So we are down in the bottom of the canyon right now. Now, the formation of the canyon happened in the 1800s. This land was originally all forested, and it was all cut down so that it could be used as farmland. Now, the people who were using this as farmland did not put any soil erosion prevention methods in place. So every time it rained, small gullies would form and would wash off those sediments as runoff. This continued over time so that by 1850, ditches were formed that are about 3 to 5 feet deep, which exasperated the erosion and causing it to accelerate much more quickly to now we have this canyon here today, where the deepest canyon is over 150 feet deep. One of the cool things when you come and visit Providence Canyon is the really cool geology of the place. So there are 4 different layers throughout, or geologic layers that you can see here, 3 of which you can see within the canyon. The top layer is called the Clayton Formation. It's that dark red, deep iron oxide rich formation of sand. It formed about 63 to 65 million years ago, right after the dinosaurs disappeared from the earth. And then underneath that is the Providence sand layer, which is the thickest or the longest layer here. It's filled with all the white, yellow, and purple sands. So the white color comes from a mineral called kaolin, the yellow from limonite, and the purple from manganese. And that layer formed about 67 to 70 million years ago. And then underneath that, kind of at the bottom of the canyon walls and then the floor of the canyon, is the Ripley Formation, which formed 70 to 74 million years ago. And it is rich in clay, which is filled with, again, that iron to give it the reddish color. Now, the clay doesn't erode away as easily. It's an impermeable surface where water kind of runs off the top, which makes it a great way for sediment and soil to set up so that roots can form and trees can form, and you have kind of this evergreen plants that grow in the bottom of the canyon, which is super cool, as well as all the ones on the top where the soil is. Now, this part of Georgia where we are, those millions of years ago, was underwater, as we all know. So Providence Canyon falls just south of the fall line of Georgia, or the old coastline. So much of South Georgia, all of Florida, didn't exist, was underwater, which is how we have sandstone and limestone everywhere, which tells us that this was a shallow marine environment millions and millions of years ago. And as the Appalachians eroded and that sediment eroded and formed South Georgia and Florida, we had these really cool formations form, and we can find them today. You can even sometimes find fossils here in Providence Canyon, which is really cool. So this section right here is a really great example of erosion on a small scale. As this water flows, it's carrying with it debris and other sediments. And as the sediments are being carried off and weathered away, it is actually creating little channels or gullies. So this is how erosion happens over time. The constant flow of water, or sometimes wind, carries that sediment off away. Now, erosion is a natural process caused by water and wind, but it can be accelerated due to human interference. So when this area was covered in trees, those trees acted as a natural form of erosion prevention. If you look behind me, you can see the trees on this bank are holding all this soil and sediments up without it being able to get carried off, because those roots are anchoring it and holding it in place. Those roots also absorb all the water from the rainfall so that it uses. And so without the presence of the trees, there's nothing to hold these sediments together. So every time it rains, all of it is carried off. So here we found this really cool example of a hunk of clay. So you can see the cool thing about clay versus sand. So sand is not a material, it's actually a size. So it's the size of the grain. And when you have sand together, think about when you're at the beach and you have a handful of sand and you pour water in your hands, the water goes through it. A little slow, but the water goes through it. So sand is more porous. Clay, on the other hand, is much finer grained and is not porous at all. So since it is so fine grained, those grains stick together and are closer together, and they kind of make, I'm sure we all have seen or played with clay. So when they get together, they make this layer that sticks together since all those grains are so close together, and water does not go through. So clay is not as porous as sand. So here in the canyon, we have that clay layer on the bottom and sometimes clay layers in between. And within that clay are all those different minerals that are trapped that give it the different colors. And this one, we have some of that purple color, which comes from the manganese, as well as the white, which is the kaolin. But again, geology, rocks, sand, clay, also super cool. And a lot of times you get clay and you have it in those lovely facial masks to help exfoliate your skin. So.
So Providence Canyon gets its name after the Providence Methodist Church and Schoolhouse, seen right here. Now this is not the original church and schoolhouse. The original one, where it was located, is now the center of one of the canyons.
So you can see behind me a very famous weed or vine, a lovely invasive plant called kudzu. So here at Providence Canyon, kudzu was introduced to kind of help stop or slow the erosion of the sides of the canyon walls because it was eroding quite rapidly. As you can probably guess, it didn't really work. Instead, kudzu just spread everywhere, and we can find it all over different places in Georgia now, over power poles and fences and trees, all sorts of things. So it is an invasive species. Then bringing it here to help control that erosion is a form of biological control of an invasive species. And as you can see, in this case, it didn't really work. So now we have this crazy weed that we got from Asia and no one really knows how to get rid of it. As we all know, you can't really kill it. I think only goats eat it. So here it is.
So right here is a really unique spot in Providence Canyon. As you can see, we have some old abandoned cars. So these cars date back to the 1950s, so they have been here for quite a while. Before Providence Canyon became a state park, there was a homestead located in this area. The building is no longer around, but the cars have been left behind. And the reason why they're still here to this day is the actual process of removing these vehicles due to their location. It would cause a lot more ecological damage than it is to just leave them here where they are. And in fact, because these cars have been left here for a significant amount of time, they have actually become a part of the ecosystem in itself. And a lot of different species of birds and mammals will use these as nesting sites. Insects, you can see some spider webs and cobwebs and things that they will use, and then also especially snakes would really love these cars to be able to roost in, especially over the winter, to hibernate and things like that. So they actually become a part of the landscape.
Thanks for joining us today exploring Georgia's Little Grand Canyon. We hope you learned something new and saw something really cool.
Yep, and if you're ever looking for something to do in Southwest Georgia, Providence Canyon is something we definitely recommend. Please comment any questions you have below or share with us your own pictures of your own adventure at Providence Canyon. Stay tuned for more, and we'll see y'all later.
Thanks for hanging out.